When you choose yourself, the entire world changes. This quote by Carl Jung holds one of the greatest secrets for transforming your reality. Think for a moment. How many times have you shrunk yourself just to be accepted? How many times have you said yes when your heart was screaming no? How many times have you abandoned your dreams, your deepest desires, just to avoid disappointing someone? This is the invisible pattern at the root of so much modern suffering that seems inexplicable. The uncomfortable truth is, the more we try to be accepted by others, the more we lose our essence. And here's the paradox Jung discovered. It's precisely this loss of essence that pushes away the very people and situations we most want to attract into our lives. What do you feel when you look inside and no longer recognize who you are? That persistent emptiness, even when you've achieved external success, that inexplicable exhaustion, even when everything seems fine, that constant discomfort, like wearing clothes that don't fit you. This has a name in Jungian psychology. It's the result of self-abandonment, the systematic betrayal of your true self. Do you realize how contradictory it is? We spend our lives trying to be loved, accepted, and valued by others, while continuously betraying, abandoning, and rejecting ourselves. And then we wonder why we keep attracting relationships where we aren't appreciated, situations where we're diminished, and environments where our light cannot shine. The external world is always a reflection of your inner world. This is one of the most powerful laws of the human psyche that Jung uncovered. Let me share something personal with you. For years, I've watched brilliant, talented, extraordinary people settle for crumbs of attention, love, recognition, people who have so much to offer the world, yet they stay in toxic relationships, degrading jobs, situations that drain their life energy. And the most intriguing part? These same people have no idea why this keeps happening in their lives. What Jung teaches us is revolutionary. Self-abandonment creates a vacuum in your soul that inevitably attracts people and situations that will abandon you too. It's mathematical, energetic, spiritual. When you don't choose yourself, you're teaching the world how it's allowed to treat you. But here's the extraordinary news. The opposite is also true. When you finally choose yourself, when you honor your inner truth, respect your boundaries, and embrace your uniqueness, the whole world starts to respond differently. It's as if the universe says, now I understand how you want to be treated. Jung called this process individuation, the path through which we become who we truly are, by integrating all the fragmented parts of our psyche. This is the forgotten remedy for the spiritual malaise we face today. It's the journey back, home, to your essence, to your personal power. By the end of this video, you'll have clarity on how to begin your process of self-choice and inner transformation. You'll understand the invisible forces that have been sabotaging your ability to prioritize yourself. And more importantly, you'll gain practical tools inspired by Jung's deep psychology to begin changing your inner world and, by extension, your outer world. Let's start by understanding what it really means to choose yourself first from the Jungian perspective, because there is a crucial difference between this concept and the narcissism that's so common in today's culture. When Jung speaks of choosing yourself, he's not promoting selfish individualism. On the contrary, he's pointing to a deep spiritual responsibility. To choose yourself from the Jungian view means to honor the unique divine spark that you are. It means recognizing that you have a singular contribution to offer the world, and that neglecting this contribution isn't humility, it's a form of spiritual arrogance. It's assuming you know better than the divine what your role should be in the grand tapestry of existence. How can you recognize the signs of self-abandonment? In your everyday life, pay attention to that tightness in your chest when you say yes to something your entire body wants to say no to. Notice when you find yourself over-explaining your choices, as if you need to justify your very existence. See how you downplay your accomplishments or feel ashamed of your most authentic desires. These are all signs that you are abandoning yourself in the name of external validation, which, ironically, never comes precisely because of that abandonment. Jung made a critical distinction that is rarely understood in our society: the difference between selfishness and self-honor. Selfishness comes from a wounded ego, from lack, from the sense of separation. Self-honor, on the other hand, comes from the soul, from the connection to the self, from the recognition of your sacred nature. When you act from selfishness, you diminish others to feel bigger. When you act from self-honor, you expand, so that everyone around you can expand too. Here's one of the greatest spiritual paradoxes that Jung discovered. The more you truly choose yourself, the more you have to offer others. Think of a glass of water. You can only give others what overflows, never what is lacking. When you're constantly living in energetic, emotional, and spiritual deficit, what you offer to others is always less than it could be. You give from scarcity, not abundance, and people can sense that, even if only unconsciously. Let's apply this to a real-life example. Imagine you're in a relationship where you constantly sacrifice your needs, your dreams, your truth, just to keep the peace or to please the other person. You think you're being loving, selfless, but what's really happening energetically? You're teaching the other person that your needs don't matter. You're creating an imbalance where one person is worth more than the other. And on a deeper level, you're cultivating a silent resentment that will eventually poison the relationship. Now imagine the opposite scenario. You honor your needs, you communicate your boundaries with love, you pursue your dreams and encourage your partner to do the same. At first there may be resistance, we're all conditioned to codependent patterns, but if the relationship is healthy at its core, it will flourish on a new level of intimacy and mutual respect. And if it's not, well then you've discovered something important. Before investing more time in something that could never truly nourish your soul, the emotional benefit of this shift in perspective is immense. When you begin to choose yourself, the initial guilt is replaced by a sense of integrity and alignment. The anxiety to please fades away, giving space to a quiet clarity about your values and boundaries. And here's the most fascinating part. People start to respect your choices more, not less as the fear would suggest. But what exactly stops us from making this seemingly simple choice for ourselves? Jung identified deep forces in the human psyche that sabotage our ability to self-validate. He called them shadows, repressed aspects of ourselves that operate in the unconscious. One of the most common shadows that blocks self-choice is what we can call the unworthiness complex. It's that inner voice that whispers, "Who do you think you are to put yourself first? To want more, to set boundaries?" This voice often has roots in childhood, when we may have learned that our worth was conditional on pleasing others, being good, not causing trouble. Another powerful shadow is the savior or martyr archetype. Jung observed how many people, especially those who are naturally empathetic, fall into the trap of believing it's their duty to save, heal, or complete others. This creates a vicious cycle. The more you sacrifice for others, the more drawn you are to people who need saving. It's an exhausting pattern that never leads to true connection or fulfillment. Unconscious family beliefs also program our self-sacrifice. Many of us grew up in families where we heard phrases like, "Don't be selfish," "Think of others first," "Don't think you're better than anyone." These messages, though often well-intentioned, create deep conditioning against self-honor. And what's most interesting, these same families often suffer precisely because they never learned how to value themselves properly. There's also what Jung might call ancestral guilt for choosing yourself first. In many family and cultural lineages, especially for women, self-sacrifice wasn't just encouraged, it was idealized. Think of the stories of saints and martyrs that permeate our culture. For millennia, sacrifice was associated with goodness, purity, and spirituality. Breaking this pattern is not only a personal challenge, it's a revolutionary act that defies centuries of collective conditioning. How do these patterns show up in everyday life? Notice how you feel when you have to say no to someone. That weight in your stomach, the need to give long explanations, the obsessive worry about what the other person will think, these are all symptoms of conditioning against self-choice. Or, observe how you react when someone compliments or recognizes your work. Do you downplay your achievement, change the subject, feel uncomfortable? That's another sign of difficulty in fully inhabiting your worth. Maybe the most common example is the struggle to invest time and resources in yourself without feeling guilty. How many times have you postponed a course you wanted to take, a trip you dreamed about, or time just to be alone with yourself, because something or someone always seemed more urgent, more deserving of your energy and resources. The emotional and spiritual benefits of integrating these shadows are profound. When you begin to recognize and question these self-destructive patterns, a new clarity emerges. You begin to realize how many of your choices were based on the fear of disappointing others, ancestral guilt, or family conditioning, not on the true calling of your soul, and that awareness is liberating in itself. But Jung didn't leave us only with the understanding of the problem. He gave us a path to transformation. The Jungian process of self-choice begins with an internal ritual of declaration. This is not just an intellectual act, but a deep resolution that must engage every layer of your being. Try this right now. Place your hand on your heart and say out loud, "I choose myself. I honor my truth. I trust the wisdom of my soul." Notice how your body reacts to this statement. Do you feel resistance, emotion, relief? Whatever arises carries valuable information about your current relationship with yourself. This simple ritual, repeated daily with sincere intention, begins to reprogram your energetic field. It's like sending a new signal to the universe. This is the treatment I now accept, and the universe inevitably responds. The next crucial step in the transformation process is learning to set healthy boundaries without guilt or aggression. Many people swing between two equally ineffective extremes. Either they can't set any boundaries and allow all sorts of violations, or they set boundaries with so much anger and resentment that they end up creating more conflict. The secret lies in understanding that setting boundaries is an act of love, not just for you but for everyone involved. When you clearly communicate what is and isn't acceptable in your life, you create a safe container for authentic relationships. You eliminate the silent resentment that corrodes connection. You allow others to know exactly where they stand with you. In practice, this means learning to say things like, "I love you, but I can't fulfill this request right now." "I value our friendship, but this behavior isn't okay with me. I need time for myself, not as a rejection of you, but as care for me." Spoken with calm, clarity, and conviction, these phrases set boundaries without starting a war. How? Can you align your decisions with your inner truth? Jung suggested a practice we might call listening to the body. Your body never lies. Before making any decision, especially those involving other people, pause and observe how your body reacts to the option you're considering. Do you feel expansion or contraction? Lightness or heaviness? Energy or exhaustion? Your body knows what's true for you long before your rational mind tries to argue otherwise. Another powerful technique is what Jung referred to as active dialogue with the unconscious. Before going to sleep, ask your unconscious a clear question about a situation where you're unsure whether to prioritize yourself. Something like, "What is truly best for my soul in this situation?" Then, upon waking, before you even get out of bed, write down any impression, image, or feeling that arises. Often the answer will come in a symbolic but unmistakable way to those who are open to listening. When you begin to consistently choose yourself, something fascinating happens. You initiate a process Jung described as death and rebirth. Parts of your old identity, the one built to please, to fit in, to survive, start to die off. This can be uncomfortable, even scary. You may temporarily feel lost, as if you no longer know who you are. That's a good sign. It means the false layers are dissolving so your true essence can emerge. It's like a snake shedding its old skin to grow. During this time, be gentle with yourself. Seek support from people who understand this process. Remember, every real transformation comes with a period of apparent chaos. One of the hardest challenges in this process is dealing with the resistance of others to your new behavior. When you begin to choose yourself, you inevitably disrupt the system around you. People who were used to having unlimited access to your time, energy, and resources may feel threatened by the change. Relationships based on dysfunctional patterns may enter crisis. But remember, that resistance doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. Quite the opposite. It's often a sign that you're finally doing something right. If everyone around you is completely comfortable with your transformation, then maybe it's not as deep as it could be. So how do you deal with this resistance in practice? First, don't be surprised by it. Expect it. Second, stay firm in your truth, but with compassion for others. They're also operating from their own wounds and conditioning. Third, give it time. Many relationships can adjust to the new balance if there is patience and clear communication. And some relationships won't survive your transformation. This is perhaps the most painful part of the process, but also the most necessary. Not every connection in your life is meant to follow you through every stage of your journey. Some people were temporary teachers, soul contracts that have already served their purpose. Honor what was, release it with love, and make space for new connections that resonate with who you're becoming. Now, let's explore another fascinating aspect of self-choice: synchronicity. Jung was a pioneer in the study of this phenomenon, which he defined as meaningful coincidences that can't be explained by mere chance. What he discovered is revolutionary. When you align with your true self, the universe starts responding in mysterious and favorable ways. It's as if there's a greater intelligence that recognizes and supports your courage to be authentic. Unexpected opportunities show up. People who resonate with your new frequency appear. Doors you didn't even know existed begin to open, not because you're manipulating the universe, but because you're finally allowing it to meet you in your truth. How can you recognize these synchronistic signs that confirm you're on the right path? Start by noticing repeating patterns, recurring numbers, accidental encounters with people who bring exactly the message or connection you needed, books that land in your hands with the answer to a question you just asked. Develop what Jung called a symbolic eye for life, the ability to see the deeper meaning behind seemingly random events. A practical tool to deepen this process is keeping a synchronicity journal. At the end of each day, write down any event, encounter, or insight that seemed especially meaningful. Over time, patterns will begin to emerge, revealing the unique language through which the universe communicates with you. Jung also identified what we can call a spiritual law of the mirror. Your external relationships reflect your internal relationship with yourself. This truth is both simple and profound. It can completely transform your understanding of relationships. Watch how people treat you. Pay special attention to recurring patterns. Do you constantly feel unheard, ignored, undervalued, used? These aren't accidents or bad luck. They're precise reflections of how you relate to yourself on an unconscious level. The good news is, when you change your internal relationship, the external mirror changes too. Not instantly. There's a period of adjustment, a time of energetic recalibration, but it's inevitable. When you truly value yourself, people who don't value you either leave your life or change how they relate to you. This is the phenomenon of magnetic attraction that arises when you live in your authenticity. Jung observed that every person has a unique energetic field, a kind of vibrational signature. When you live in alignment with your truth, that signature becomes clear, strong, unmistakable. And just like a magnet, you naturally attract people, situations, and opportunities that resonate with your specific frequency. In practical terms, this may look like a sudden cleansing in your social life. Some people drift away while others, often surprisingly aligned, come closer. Or it might show up as a shift in dynamics within existing relationships. Those same people start treating you differently, often with more respect and care. You might also notice a new flow in areas that once felt stuck. Projects that were stagnant start moving forward. Creative expressions that were suppressed find outlets to emerge. It's as if aligning with your true self removes the blocks that were choking the natural flow of your vital energy. Let's look at a concrete example. Imagine a woman who has always attracted partners who treated her as secondary, who never fully committed, who in one way or another communicated that she wasn't enough. After deep work on self-choice, integrating her shadows, and establishing new relationship standards with herself, something extraordinary happens. First, she begins to clearly see the signs of devaluation that she used to accept as normal. What was once invisible now becomes obvious. That's a critical moment. Awareness always precedes transformation. Then she begins to set clear boundaries, to communicate her needs, to walk away from situations where she isn't respected. At first, there may be resistance, even tests, to see if her change is real or just temporary. This is the energetic recalibration in action. Eventually, she notices that the kind of partners she attracts begins to shift. Or if she's in a long-term relationship, the dynamic transforms. Not because of magic or manipulation, but because of a fundamental change in the frequency she's sending out to the world. Here's another real-life example. Imagine someone who constantly underestimates their professional value, accepting salaries below market, avoiding leadership roles even when fully qualified. This pattern likely has deep roots, maybe in family messages like "don't think you're too special," or educational trauma, or social conditioning. Once this person begins the Jungian process of self-choice, they start to truly see their own worth. They recognize their unique contributions, natural talents, and their ability to positively impact their environment. They begin to understand that asking for fair compensation isn't arrogance, it's honoring the energetic exchange. That's when professional synchronicities begin to appear, a mentor who sees their potential, an opportunity that aligns perfectly with their gifts, an invitation to lead a project that once felt intimidating. These aren't coincidences. They're the universe responding to their new frequency. We now arrive at the synthesis point of this deep journey into Jungian psychology and self-choice. What happens when you finally decide to prioritize yourself is not just a personal shift, it's a transformation that reverberates through every aspect of your existence. Your relationships become more authentic because they're no longer based on dependency or obligation, but on conscious choice and mutual appreciation. Your work gains new vitality because you're now operating from your real gifts, not from others' expectations. Your physical health often improves as your body responds to psychic integration with greater balance and energy. And perhaps, most important, you develop an intimate relationship with your own soul, with the divine within you. Let's recap the practical tools we explored so you can begin using them right away. First, the daily self-declaration ritual, that sacred moment, where you place your hand on your heart and affirm your commitment to yourself. This simple act, repeated with sincere intention, begins to reprogram your energetic field and send new signals to the universe. Second, the practice of bodily listening, learning to consult your somatic wisdom before making decisions. Your body always knows what's true for you, long before your mind tries to rationalize otherwise. Cultivate the habit of pausing and feeling. Is there expansion or contraction, lightness or heaviness? Your body doesn't lie. Third, setting boundaries. With love, communicating clearly what is and isn't acceptable in your life without guilt or aggression. Remember, healthy boundaries don't push real connections away. They create the safe container where authentic intimacy can flourish. Fourth, the active dialogue with your unconscious, that intimate conversation before sleep where you pose your deepest questions and allow your inner wisdom to answer through dreams, intuition, and synchronicities. And finally, the practice of conscious attention to synchronicities, learning to recognize and honor the signs the universe sends when you're aligned with your true path. These are love letters from the cosmos, confirming that you are headed in the right direction. I know this path isn't easy, especially at the beginning. There will be resistance. Your conditioned mind will raise doubts and fears. People around you may question your change. Old patterns will try to take over again. These are necessary tests, confirming the seriousness of your commitment to yourself. Moments of doubt, remember. Every time you honor your truth, you're healing not just yourself, but generations before and after you. You're breaking ancestral patterns of self-abandonment. You're showing future generations how to fully embody the sacred gift of their own existence. Philosopher Howard Thurman once wrote, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do that. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive." That is the essence of Jung's message about self-choice. It's not selfish, it's the deepest service you can offer the world. Imagine a world where every person fully honored their unique gifts, lived from their true essence, express their singular light without shrinking. That would be a world of unlimited creativity, authentic connections, and innovative solutions to our greatest challenges. That's the world we begin to create every time we choose to honor our inner truth. I leave you with one of Carl Jung's most powerful quotes: "The greatest tragedy in life is not death, but what we let die inside of us while we live." Right now, in this very moment, you have the opportunity to revive everything that's died inside you. Your most authentic dreams, your deepest truths, your most singular gifts. Make a tangible commitment to yourself today. It can be small, like dedicating 15 minutes a day to something that truly nourishes your soul. It can be medium, like having a difficult but necessary conversation where you finally express a truth you've been holding in. Or it can be big, like a significant life change you've been postponing out of fear or guilt. Whatever your commitment is, declare it out loud. Put intention behind the words. Feel the power of that declaration in every cell of your body. Ask yourself, if I truly loved myself, what would I change in my life today? If I fully trusted my soul's wisdom, what would be my next step? If I knew I was worthy of everything I desire, how would I behave differently? These aren't rhetorical questions, they're portals to your transformation. Allow the answers to come, not from your conditioned mind, but from that deep place inside you that has always known who you truly are. Remember, when you choose yourself, the whole world changes. Not just your inner world, although that in itself is deeply meaningful, but literally the world around you begins to respond differently. It's as if the universe had been waiting for you to recognize yourself, so it could finally give you what was always meant for you. End this video with a simple symbolic act. Place your right hand over your heart, your left hand over your belly. Close your eyes for a moment and take a deep breath into this connection with yourself. Feel the promise of this new relationship with you. Feel the power of a life lived from self-honor. Feel the deep relief of finally coming home to yourself, and know this: the journey of self-choice will not always be smooth, but it will always be worth it. The road will have challenges, but every time you choose your truth over external approval, you will grow stronger, clearer, and more magnetic to everything that aligns with your essence. But what happens when you start valuing yourself, and someone tries to tear you down for it? That's exactly what we'll talk about in the next video. The path of self-choice will inevitably challenge those who benefited from your self-abandonment, and it's crucial to know how to navigate those turbulent waters without falling back into old patterns. I'll see you there, in your new reality, where you finally have chosen yourself first. If this message stirred something in you, it's because you've already begun to choose yourself. But know this: not everyone will applaud your choice, and when that happens, it hurts. In the next video, I'll show you exactly what to do when your light begins to disturb those who still live in the dark. Click now on the video that just appeared on your screen. It's the next step in your journey.